Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A Mummer Story. And today I have Chalie Nicholas with me from Pensport String Band.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you, and I'm really happy to be here today.
Hey, so what did you think about this year's Mummer? I think everybody did pretty well.
It was I was honestly pleasantly surprised this year. I mean, as you probably all know, we didn't find out till about October we were actually having this parade this year, and we kind
Nice.
of just pulled it all together as quick as we could. And I think everyone did a really phenomenal job this year with all the restrictions we had.
Yeah, can't complain. So let's jump into this. So, how long have you been a Mummer?
Man, I was born into mummery. So my dad's been a mummer since he was a really young kid, and he was with Avalon String Band for years now with Pensport String Band.
Oh, nice.
So I was back in born in '95. So from the day I was born onwards, I was a mummer. I was at the club all the time. I had my own little costume every half all the time when I was little. My first parade actually going up was 2004 with Avalon. I was a marshal that year. 2004, 2005, and 2006.
Well,
Yeah, it's been ever since.
so how old were you when you said you started in the Mummers?
So about 9 years old. 9 years old, my first parade actually going up. And honestly, ever since then, couldn't turn back.
Nice. So I'm assuming when
Yeah.
you started your Mummers at 9 years old, what did you do? Were you still a part of the performance, or did you just march with the band?
Well, so just at 9, I was actually helping with marshaling, making sure props were going where they had to go. And I know there was a point that was a year we had it was a wizard year, and they had these bunch of like trees that kind of moved back and forth like so. And being the 9-year-old that I was, walking up all the way up Broad Street from Oregon to City Hall got a little tiring, so I hopped up on one of those trees halfway down the block, got a free ride up, and we were good.
So I got asked to do marshalling before, and seeing some of them props that those guys, and I know they're on wheels and everything. So give me some advice if I decide to do this. Is it tiring? Should John Levy stay away from that?
Nah, John should hop in there, man. It's good time. Honestly, a couple years ago, I had to actually go back to marshalling for a year. I messed up my shoulder and couldn't go up as a playing member. So, and honestly, one more fun times ahead. It's fun time. You're basically, and I know a lot of people say the band's a mean part. When you have those props going back and forth and they go perfectly, I mean, look at South Philly for instance with their props this year. They looked phenomenal with everything, and that would never be able to happen without all those guys and girls in the back making sure those props go where they have to go and properly. And it's just a fun time. And then afterwards, I mean, if you're not a playing member, it's free time after for fun.
So what instrument do you play?
So I'm a percussionist. Mostly play bass drum. Doing a little bit of snare when needed. It's the snare drum for any kind of jobs or performances or such. So mostly with percussion. I've also been learning saxophone for a while, but on and off.
Nice. So you mentioned that you were with Avalon, and now you're with Pensport. Was there any other bands that you were a part of? Any string bands?
No, so actually these are only two string bands I was a part of. This year, however, I mean it's a little bit different case. For this parade, Pensport and Hegeman went up together for this parade. So we kind of joined forces for just this year, the 2022 parade. So we kind of everyone there ended up being a Pensport Hegeman member for the year. So that was definitely a cool experience. So I mean, we can add one more in there for us.
Cool. So you mentioned again you were marshalling at around 9 years old. So as your first year, playing your instrument, you're marching with the band. Describe your very first parade. What kind of adrenaline was going through you?
Man, that first parade was fun. So my first parade going up as a marshal was a good time. I was a little young, so couldn't really appreciate, I think, how much fun it actually was. But my first actual year in costume and doing something was with Pensport back in 2011. And man, that the minute you turn and you get out there and do your performance, it's a fun time. Well, I know some people, they get a little nervous. I just find it to be so much fun. You just get to see all the people in the stands. You get to, you have a big smile, put smiles on other people's faces, and it's one of those things. Just makes you so happy when you do it.
Nice. So you mentioned, your first parade. You're all excited, you're fired up. So you're getting ready to do your first performance. walking up Broad Street. You're new, playing your instrument. I'm sure you're probably nervous. What advice was given to you that day before you stepped up? I'm sure somebody that's been in the parade, or maybe your dad or somebody gave you some advice. What was that advice?
So yeah, so I'm gonna actually give you a couple pieces only because I've done a couple different jobs basically in the mummers. My first thing I was doing with marshalling and dancing. Dancing was the first one in costume. The biggest piece of advice I got from everyone was make sure you smile and make sure you have a good time doing it. Because if you don't have a good time, they know that. When I say they, I mean judges and also the people in the stands. If you have a smile on your face, but your eyes look like, oh my God, I'm going to hit by a bus over here, they could tell. That's two big pieces of advice was smile and have fun. Is playing. That big piece of advice I got from actually my drum mate that year, Crystal. She was basically just saying, don't be nervous. You know what you're doing. Just do it every time you've done it every so far, and you'll be fine. So that was definitely a big piece of advice because a lot of people you think it's different, but I mean, you've been playing this music for 3 months now, or longer potentially, depending on where you are. So you know what you're doing there. So there's no reason to freak out, no reason to get nervous. And then this year was very different. This past year, my first year actually as captain, and that was a big one. Definitely was a little bit more nerve wracking because in my head I'm like, well, if I screw up, it means everyone behind me is going to get messed up too. The big piece that actually came from my dad, who was captain of Avalon and Penn Sport for years, was just be the leader, be the guy, and just don't worry about it. If you mess up, no one knows except for you, because you pull a little what we call a captain move and you move forward. But it honestly, that the biggest piece of advice that really helped was be yourself, have fun, and that could go for anything.
Nice. So what would the years you've been doing the Mummers Parade, what would you say was your most favorite performance?
I'm going to take a little cheat on this one, and I'm going to have a tie between two. 2011, and it was Penn Sport, was it was our Arabian theme, and I don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason why, but this was my favorite year. I think the music was just awesome. The drill was great. The props we had were just fun, and all of us just had so much fun doing it that year. It was just one of my most fond memories, and one of our last years actually walking all the way up Broad Street too. So it was definitely one of my favorite years. And then my tie was also with 2022 this year. Mostly my first year being captain was definitely a big part of that, just because it was a huge honor. It was an awesome time, and it just we had two bands run up together, which no one did before, and it was it had challenges in it, but honestly, it was a bunch of great people going up, having a great time, and every part of it was fun that day.
Nice. Now let me hit you with the other one. And I'm sure everybody has their goods and their bads. So what would you say was your least favorite performance? Not that you just didn't think you did well, but you just think maybe you could have done a little bit better.
This one's easy for me. 2018 was our Spanish year. So 2018 was the year where it was like -5 degrees out. Everyone was freezing. They had code blue. Everyone had to go inside except mummers go outside and play. That year was just brutal. As soon as we got up to the judges' stands, no one had time to actually warm up. So by the time you got there, I think if you listen, about half a minute in, you could hear all the horns freeze immediately. As soon as the horns freeze, you're done. And it was a brutal year. It was just so cold. We should have really never been out in the street that day. And it's one of the years I'm like, yeah, we did it, but I'm glad it's over.
So you're walking up Broad Street. You got a band on in front of you guys playing. They're just finishing up. You guys are getting ready to take the stage. Describe the adrenaline now that's going through your guys. I mean, the entire band, even as the captain, because at one point you're going to become the spotlight of the show once the band or the prop split apart. What adrenaline's going through?
Man, it's when I say it's pure adrenaline, you have no idea. At a certain point, something takes over you, and you just go on autopilot, and it's just you're out there, and all you see is those bright lights, the people in front of you, the big judges standing up top, and it's just this moment of just fun, adrenaline, and you're just so excited to finally all this work you did all year long, between props, music, choreography, a drill, everything, costumes, anything else that you possibly could do during the year, all culminates in this one 4.5 minute routine. So this year, the way we came in, we had like a little like rocket ship kind of backwards going back this way and turn for captain reveal. And I could say of all the years of being a Mummers, to me, that moment of turning, man, that hit, that hit hard. That adrenaline hit real hard that moment.
Here's a definite straight up Mummers question: Broad Street or Market Street, and why?
Broad Street, 100%. My fondest memories growing up the street, which I mean, of actually going up the street, were when like going up past St. Agnes, when there were like hundreds of people sitting out there cheering us on. We're even down at Argon Ave, or even further up Washington Ave, when you have groups of people that just want to see you perform, listen to you play some music, watch, see the awesome costumes you guys did, the good props, and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing like it. I really mean that. There is nothing on this planet like that. Like just going up and seeing all these people having fun, being happy, being entertained, and also seeing how diverse it is too when you're up there. I mean, like when you think of Mummers, you usually think that down Second Street, all the Irish guys down there. When you're going up Broad Street, man, it's everybody out there. It's old, young, every race, every religion, everything. Everyone's up there, and they're just having a good time. And that's one thing I believe that Mummers really should be about, and always should be about, is make sure everyone up there is having a good time.
Yeah, right.
So definitely Broad Street.
And I think I'm a police officer, so I've worked the parade a couple times. I've worked Broad Street and Market Street, and it really didn't matter to me at that point because I'm watching the crowd and trying to stay warm at the same time. But you guys are at least moving around a little bit,
Yeah, it's a little easier for us to stay warm, especially now with having the buses up there. Everyone gets cold, you hop on a bus for a few minutes, hop off. You guys do not have that luxury, and let me tell you, I think I speak for most people, if not all people. We do appreciate all the work you guys do that day, because none of what we do could be possible without you guys doing your jobs there.
And the New Year's, well, how can I phrase this? And the New Year's wouldn't begin if it wasn't for you guys. So here you go. I seen an interview. Well, they interview the captains, when you're on TV prior to the parade, and you guys do your little biography and whatnot. And I can't remember who it was. And I don't know if there was a question posed or the gentleman brought it up. He mentioned something about it's not about winning, it's about doing a performance for the people. But in all reality, bands want to win, So in your eyes, and I'm not saying it in a bad kind of way. It's not, because in all reality, for everybody, I'm sure it's both. But if you watch some of these videos that the guys put up on Facebook, these guys go nuts and he's party that he's won. So for you, is it about winning, or is it just about the performance, or the show?
Yeah, no, me personally, 100% is honestly, I don't care if we win or not. I'm going to shoot to try to win one year. That's definitely a goal. But it means more to me when we're on the street and people have fun with us and people come back. We actually, a couple of years ago, I think we got either third to last or second to last place. But there was one lady who personally called one of our members, left a voicemail, and made a donation because she was so happy with what she saw. And she's like, you guys really encompass what we love about Mummers. And honestly, when I say and it might sound corny or cheesy, but I truly mean that means more to me than what 8 judges up there say about what we did. Because I think a lot of the times it kind of gets lost in the meaning of the Mummers Parade is not about throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars to impress 7 people that don't know much about mummery. The parade really is supposed to be a celebration of just New Year, bringing the New Year, bringing a bunch of hope, a bunch of happiness, and making sure all the people of Philadelphia are having a great time with that. And I mean, I get definitely a competition there, and I love the competition of it. But I think a lot of people sometimes lose the meaning of yes, great thing to win. However, also make sure you keep that meaning in line with it.
That's awesome, and that's huge. That's huge. So from being a regular band member or one of the dancers to being captain, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to notice, they're probably looking at you guys like, holy shit, how much does that stuff weigh? Especially if it's windy out there or something like that. So tell everybody, How much does this stuff weigh, and how do you prepare yourself during, all these practices throughout the year to strengthen your guys self up to wear this stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, it depends on the kind of costume of the year, whatever. But there's definitely some costumes out there that weigh upwards of close to 100 something pounds, and maybe more. There's some I know we had a couple years ago, a couple guys in these like look like rose costumes with our Spanish year. And as I said, it was one of the coldest days that we've ever been out there. We had one guy once had a heat stroke because the costume was too heavy in -5 degree weather because it just was so heavy on him. So these costumes are heavy; they're no joke. Especially when you see, some of the captains this year. I did not have a big back piece. I had a little bit one, but some of these other guys have some big back pieces on. Man, those things are heavy, and when that wind blows, you're basically a parachute. You have no control, and you just hope to God you stay where you are. So people that if you see that, like if it looks heavy, I guarantee you it's even heavier than you could even think it is.
You spoke about it a couple times. What was your coldest day? And I remember you mentioned something about it. It was affecting the horns. What was your coldest day that you can remember? What was the
Yeah,
temperature?
the 2018. I think the wind chill on JFK that day was -6 or -7 degrees. It was a brutal day. It was no matter what you did, you couldn't stay warm unless you're like one of the guys in those big costumes, and you were pretty good. But it was one of those days. No matter what, it was you were freezing. They had like these warming tents coming up the street, but they all started trying to move the parade. So if you might go in the warming tent for a few minutes, but they said he has to move you because they have certain time frames between all their workers. You have the cops have to do their jobs on, as you well know, of on that part, and you can't sit there for half hour to stay warm. The problem that runs into though is the instruments we have, especially the saxophones. You're playing, some spit comes out because you're blowing into a horn. And with how the metal is in there, as soon as that gets wet and that metal stays cold the way it is, it freezes up automatically. When it freezes, they have little pads on the inside where for the keys there, and they get stuck. So as soon as they get stuck, you can't play anymore because you're not playing properly. So it's definitely you're basically screwed if it happens, which it did.
Right. Is it? And I don't know. So I don't know. I don't want to get nobody in trouble. Is it safe to ask a judge's question?
Go for
it. Well, as a viewer and a Mummers fan for pretty much my whole life, because I've always watched the Mummers. A lot of times the people from Philadelphia, the neighborhood people like South Philly, Port Richmond, Kensington, Mayfair, we see the parade differently than I think the judges do. And sometimes we're on cue with the judges and we think they did a good job. And then other times we think that, hey, Penn Sport should have been the guys this year. You know what I mean? So my question is, do you think the judging should be done differently? Do you think the judging is good?
So it's a loaded question because I don't think that judging is bad. I think it's just not the best way to go about it, personally. The judges they have, they are great at what they do. They are phenomenal. Like, they are talented people. They know exactly what they're looking for. However, the kind of shows that they usually do are a lot different than Mummer shows. And that's always my personal opinion is, for the judges of the shows, what I really think they should do, and it's hard to pull it off because you'll get some biases, but if you grab 10, 15 retired mummers, throw them in there and have them take a look, like, hey, I know what these prospects go this way, okay, this band's going this way, okay, I get it. This is a little off, the music's a little off, but they'll know what they're talking about because they've been doing it for 30, 40, 50, 60, even some guys 70 years. Just my personal opinion is, you should get people that have done it for years, know exactly what they're talking about, know what they're doing, and have them be the ones to decide, like, okay, yeah, you guys get 85 points on this, where you might mess up here, so you're gonna get like 70 points on this. You know what I mean? Like, so my personal opinion is the judges are not the problem. However, I think there could be a better way to go about it.
Well, I'm gonna do one better for you. I think the people of Philadelphia should be judges. As long as the
Yeah, I
dude
love
ain't
that.
from K&A or Kensington and Somerset and strung you out, I think we can get some fair. We'll get some fair, points in there for everybody.
Yeah, to me that would be great.
So do you have anything at the house? Anything staying by that you wanted to show anybody, or?
We actually, so me and my wife got married this past summer, back in July.
Oh,
It got
congratulations.
pushed back. Thank you. Yeah, it got pushed back from COVID stuff and everything. But we actually had, and when you're in a string band, or most mummers in general, when when you get married, you basically have string bands there. So actually, we had a picture right here
Very cool.
as me and my wife in the string band. We actually ended up having, it's hard to see how many people, we had about close to 45 playing people, actually at the wedding, to the point where you couldn't fit on the dance floor for how many mummers showed up that day. And then when I say that means the world to me, it meant the world. And it was people from Pennsport, people that used to be with Pennsport but have moved on to other bands that came back just to play, just because, we're close. I mean, we're friends, everyone's friends at this point in mummery. People that were at the wedding that were mummers brought their instruments. When I say that was one of the most meaningful things and heartfelt things, it was awesome. So it definitely is very meaningful to people like me that are involved. That shows how other people appreciate, all the stuff that you and your family go through for mummery and reciprocate it. And so, yeah.
Very cool. Wrong pipe. So
yeah, that's the word.
Sometimes the camera flips back and forth between us talking. So
Yeah.
do me a favor, put up the picture one more time for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, here it is right here. Me and my wife with a bunch of the mummers there. Again, it can't encompass all of them. But yeah, we had probably upwards of 40 something people there. And we also even had some of the band we had for the wedding. I think of all the people there, maybe 75% of them were actually in Quaker. And I remember seeing a couple of them bring up their horns to play with them as well. So it's an awesome brotherhood. And anyone that can get involved, if you can do it, I really suggest you do it in any way. Whether it be a marshal, dancer, player, if you want to show up and help play, set up the club on New Year's Day. It's anyone that can do it definitely should do it, because it's a great experience, and I promise you'll never regret a day of it.
So for all the people out there that are going to view this, and haven't seen the mummers, or I actually did a video this year while the mummers parade was taking place. In final, what would anything you'd have to say to all the people in reference to the mummers?
Yeah, I mean, and this is one thing I really want to make a good point of, because I know sometimes mummery gets a bad rap on certain things. Don't judge mummers by the few idiots out there. Because there are a few idiots out there, and we all know what those idiots do. And sometimes idiots have the loudest mouths, or have the camera on them. With Pennsport, I only speak on Pennsport, and I also can speak for Hegeman String Band, because being with them for this year, they are two of the most welcoming places I've ever been in my life. They don't care who you are, what you believe, who you love, anything. If you want to be involved and you're a good person, man, we're happy to have you. You'll be part of the family 100%. If you're in, we're in. And I could probably talk for a lot of the clubs out there that we don't care who you are, what race you are, what creed you are, what sexuality you are. We just want to keep this thing alive. And if you want to join, and you want to experience this great tradition with us, we want you there. That's one big takeaways I always want to make sure people know is, sometimes you hear the idiots out there running their mouth, but we promise you a lot of people are out there rather it be the other way.
Well, I just want to take this time to thank you and your family for allowing you to have some time with me today to do this great documentary, I should say, on the mummers. And for everyone watching, don't be afraid. Get on here with John Levy, and we could talk. Everybody has a story,
Thank you, John. I really appreciate you having me on here. It's been a great time.
All right. Well, good luck to you and your family. I know you got a little one coming soon. Wish you guys all the best of luck, and I'll see you guys next January the 1st.
Thank you very much. Yeah, hopefully maybe we'll get you in Pennsport pushing a prop up there this year. I don't know, John.
I'm trying Quaker City, or not. Let me apologize. Hold on. South Philly's trying to get me already.
tell Denny that, tell Denny we'll take you first, and we'll let him know.
All right, man. You take care, and thanks for coming on.
Yep. Thank you, John. I appreciate it.